For 7 weeks, the drivers of the NASRA Triple M Polling Truck Series have battled on racetracks all the way from Daytona International Speedway to the short tracks in Martinsville, Virginia. But tonight, it's a little bit different. We come to you from the world's greatest dirt track here in the Eldora Motor Speedway from Eldora, Ohio, and we say good evening here on Racecraft TV. My name is Ian Fisher, and alongside me in the booth is Terry Tear It Up Radford, and we're excited to have you joining us today, of course, for the NASRA Triple M Polling Series All-Star Race. Drivers are out here qualifying right now, but Terry, I got to ask you, this is pretty different for most of these drivers. They're used to racing on asphalt ovals, and probably that's where a lot of their bread and butter is. So what can we expect coming to a dirt track for a one-off event like this?
A lot of wrecking and a lot of beating and banging. I don't expect to see these drivers do anything less than sending it down in the corner, maybe pushing the cushion a little bit and going up there against the wall, trying to rip the Kyle Larson line, or maybe going down to the bottom and trying to be more conservative like Joey Logano was in the Cup Series at Bristol Dirt. But this ought to be a fun event, one-off. But looking at qualifying across the board, I would say that it's between the 2 and the 43 and who's going to walk away with this.
And no surprises at all, as Ted Wade again is at the top of your qualifying order so far, and then following him is Blake Lothian. The rest of your screen comes in there, followed by Brian Abbott, Devin Painter, and Raul Meza for your top 5 qualifiers so far. But Terry, I'll give you a little bit of advice here. That Ted Wade guy, he's pretty good. He's somebody to watch out for. He has 3 wins so far on the season, and of course those wins came at well, first off, I want to say that he opened up the season by pushing his teammate Chris Cinnamon to the win at Daytona. And then he followed it himself up with wins at Martinsville, Sonoma, and Darlington. And of course, here we're at the Eldora Speedway in New Weston, Ohio. It was opened in 1954, a half-mile clay dirt racetrack. And Terry, you and I were kind of talking about it a little bit before the broadcast. 24 degrees of banking in the turn and 8 degrees of banking in the straights. This place is banked for a dirt track.
Oh, it absolutely is. And you actually brought up a track of Darlington. This is kind of like a Darlington. You think about one corner is a little bit more different than the other, and then you got to keep it up higher speeds in one corner, lesser speeds in the other. But you see the machine right here, the 78 machine of Keith Haney. He's ripping the top, and that's what we're going to see when we get to Darlington next week for all of the A and B and C open cars. You're not going to see a whole lot of this ripping the bottom. I hate dirt so much. I hate it.
Dirt is definitely difficult, and I am no good at dirt at all. I'll be honest with you here, Terry. I am someone who can't drive away out of a wet paper bag on dirt. And we had Darlington last week, and I can agree with you that everybody was riding the top line. You really only saw the bottom for passing here, but as we see the 78 of Keith Haney finish up his qualifying run, you bring up a good point, is a lot of these drivers are going to try to run what we call, if this is your first time watching a dirt race here on Racecraft TV, is what we call the cushion. On the top line of that racing line, you can kind of start to see where the dirt changes color there, colors between the darker color and a little bit lighter color there in the turns. And drivers will try to ride that. And I don't know, Terry, maybe you're a little bit more eloquent than me when it comes to explaining how dirt racing works, but you kind of mentioned last night in your coverage of the Sierra Nevada 100, you're not as familiar as I am as well with dirt, but what does that cushion do for the drivers trying to make their way around this Eldora Speedway?
Well, it's going to allow them to get a little bit more grip in the dirt, and I had to have somebody explain it to me a little bit better today. I told Josh Lee, I was like, look, I'm going to study as much as possible to come out here and call this right. It allows the truck to turn. It lets the back end kick just a tad bit more, and you see the 4, he went up there a little bit. You don't want to jump it. You don't want to go up into the wall and get the back end there, but it doesn't hurt. It's not going to hurt this truck if it goes up and pops the back end. It might help it turn a little bit better, and hey, it might help you rip the top a little bit more. To maybe go up here and make a pass on somebody like a Ted Wade or a Blake Lothian.
Yeah, and that, of course, was the 4 truck of Adam Newbert there finishing up his qualifying run. It looks like, for the most part here, drivers are finished up with qualifying. We had 10 drivers lay down a lap time. Ted Wade, of course, will be your pole sitter, but we had a few drivers maybe trying to figure out this dirt surface still here, Terry, and it is still an oval track. Let's not get that, mixed up or anything like that. But this dirt is a whole different animal. And with asphalt, you're used to a little bit of a changing track surface with heat and temperature and stuff like that. But it's a lot more constant. The change is a lot faster here on a dirt track.
Well, and what's crazy is my mom talks about how much she loves watching these dirt races when I call them, and I tell her all the time, I don't know a whole lot about dirt. I could barely drive on it. I can't keep it straight. I tried a dirt late model on iRacing and wrecked half the field, and people laughed at me and told to go back to a broadcast booth, which is fine. But you're right. This dirt track is going to change a whole lot more than what an asphalt or a concrete track's going to. It's going to dry up down there on the bottom. You're going to get a rubbered in track, and then you're going to get a spot where people are going to be on the outside lane on the bottom. It's going to be a slick side, a non-slick side, a wetter side, and the track's going to just progressively change through these heats, through the race. So there's a lot that's going to be like shown throughout this whole event, to where you're going to have 3-4 different grooves, and all these drivers are most likely going to be finding every bit of grip possible.
And they sure will. We'll take a look here at the starting grid for our heat races here. We got Ted Wade, of course, sitting on the pole outside Blake Lothian in the 43 truck. That's rounding out row 1. We're going to have Keith Haney in the 78 truck on the inside of row 2, with Cody Knott to his outside in the 26 truck. And this is going to be our first heat race here. And a little bit different of format we have here, Terry, tonight. And we're going to have 8-lap heats here, a 20-lap LCQ, 75-lap feature. It's a custom fixed setup for this race, limited tire sets, no fast repairs, of course. We have 2 green-white checkered attempts in the feature, and of course we'll go over all of these rules again once we get to the feature, so if you forget them now, don't worry about it. There's going to be no incident penalties or anything like that, so these drivers here, we're going to have fun tonight. We're going to be bumping and banging, of course, because we're on the dirt track here, Terry, but I don't think anybody's going to get too out of hand.
No, it's all-star racing. Hey, who cares? Like, let it all hang out. Somebody's got to pull a slide job, dip it down to the bottom, maybe try to jump the berm a tad bit down there. It's all about to go down here.
Oh, yes, it is. And these drivers here are getting ready to take the green flag here from Eldora for the first of our heat races. And immediately Ted Wade dives to the inside here. He's going to try to run that high line coming off of turns 2 and try to get to the inside here and trying to seal off the rest of these drivers. We see the 78 of Keith Haney and the 82 of Abbott there trying to run him down. And right now, everybody just kind of trying to settle in and find where they stand on the racetrack there, Terry.
Oh, and the 29, that's Keith Bradley. He put a big move. He's got to try to pull a slider, and he can't get it there on Brian Abbott. Abbott's just sitting there running the wall. He's halfway spinning all the way through here, trying to keep the truck straight as possible up there, all the way against the wall. He's running the, that's more of the cushion area, but they have nothing at the moment for Ted Wade. He's almost 0.7 of a second out. He just ran an 18.9. That was 0.2 faster than the field there. So he's picking up something that a lot of these drivers in the next heat and the LCQ needs to pay attention to.
Yeah, and Ted Wade, of course, continuing his domination from the regular seasons, carrying it over into the All-Star race so far. You see some of these drivers already, Terry, running all the way up by the wall, even tapping it. That's okay to tap it with the right rear. You don't really want to get the truck too upset, and as much as these guys, it looks like they're sliding around on the dirt, you really want to keep that race truck centered underneath you and not try to get too sideways, because you still want to get back to the power, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you see the 82 right there. He taps the wall just a tad bit. That helps straighten the truck out here. I mean, you see it when you look at what is about to be the Craftsman Truck Series coming back next season. When they come run the dirt, you think of a Stuart Friesen or a Jessica Friesen, some of these dirt people that like to run out here. Matt Crafton. Oh, the 82 bounced the wall hard there. He jumped it really hard, hit a little bit of a divot in the racetrack, and the 29 pulls a slide, which he didn't have to, but he still pulled it anyhow, and gets a marvelous run there over the 82. And he's running a more traditional line where he starts at the bottom and slides his way to the top to get the most power out of the rear of the truck.
And all the different strategies you can take on to dirt racing is what really sets this event apart from the rest of the series. And we go to a different eclectic mix of asphalt ovals here in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, but this is really standing apart right now as it looks like possibly in the back of the field. I'm looking out the window here of the press box. Looks like maybe some trouble for Keith Haney, but Ted Wade's going to come around and take the checker flag for Heat Race 1 here. A dominating start to his night in the All-Star race already, and continuing on his dominance he's had so far in this season, Terry.
Yeah, he never fell below a 19.2. So he's got speed. He's picked it up, but don't sleep now. Keith Bradley right there actually started picking up speed as the race progressed there, and while it was only 8 laps, that's valuable knowledge when he gets to the 75 lap feature that might play dividends to him go up there and maybe challenge for it.
We take a look at your full results here from heat race number 1. Of course, Ted Wade in the 2 truck takes the number 1 spot, and you talked about it now. Keith Bradley really making some places up at the end there, coming across P2 in their first heat race. Brian Abbott, Cody Knott, P3 and 4. Adam Cantwell, Jeffrey Sickles, Keith Haney, Christopher Blanchard, and Taylor Peacock are going to round out the rest of your order for our first heat race here from the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, All-Star Race at Eldora. So you can see the grid here getting started. For our second heat race, we'll have 2 of these heat races, so this will be the second of 2. Of course, 8 laps again. Blake Lothian in the 43 car is going to be on the pole here. Devin Painter, Raul Meza, Brady the Buff, Dana Shepard, Robert Richards, Torrey Thompson, James Haney, and Adam Newberg are going to round out your field for this second heat race. And we've already got 1 heat race under our belt here, Terry. What do you think going into the second one? Are you going to see a little bit more aggression, or are you going to see more of the same?
I think we're going to see a little bit more aggression because you see the tracks wore in just a tad bit. I believe it actually rolled over from heat race number 1, so it wasn't a fresh slate of a race surface. So these drivers are really going to have their work cut out for them, because while it was only 8 laps, you see how the groove really started rubbering in right there on the high side. That's less cushion that they can really bounce here in the second heat. So if it transfers over and we don't get a clean slate for the LCQ, that's going to spell some trouble for a lot of these drivers. You better hope that they can hold the wheel straight.
Hope that they can hold the wheels straight indeed. So Blake Lothian in the 43 truck is going to lead our field to green here for the second of our heat races. Devin Painter in that beautiful Exide tribute to the Burton family there on the outside. Always love seeing that truck up there. And then another one to watch out for, of course, is going to be the 9 truck of Brady LaBeouf as we go racing again here from Eldora. It's going to be a really good jump for Blake Lothian. Going to try to get in and kind of work that slide line you mentioned there, Terry, and kind of work his way up in front of the 99 truck of Painter here. But a little bit of trouble in the back there. It looks like Meza's spinning in one other truck. I think it's Thompson in the 96 who is also spinning there. So tough for both of those guys. But the rest of our trucks are battling for position. Remember, not only can you make the feature here in a heat race, Terry, but you can also put yourself in a great position for the LCQ as well.
You absolutely can, and you see the damage right there a little early on for the 37. I got damage on the passenger side of the vehicle, and the 4 pulling a marvelous slide. Oh, he makes contact there, almost had it cleared, but couldn't get it. Makes contact with the 55 of James Haney, and caution comes out in this heat. And if memory serves me right on dirt, caution laps don't count, so we rack them back up. We stay on lap 3.
I'm not entirely sure what the rule is on caution laps. I would assume that you are correct, Terry. We'll see what happened here. We're looking at a replay right now. It looks like the spin from Thompson, I believe, there. I don't think that's what brought out the yellow. Gotcha. So I guess because he was in the middle of the track is what race control is telling me that they threw the yellow for. So of course, they want to have a good, clean racing product here. Safety isn't really concerned, obviously, Terry, on the iRacing service, but you want to have a clear track so these guys can really go at it and battle each other for the win.
Yeah, and if you look at the top 3 right now between the 43, the 99, and the 48, very even lap times across the board. 19.66, 19.61, 19.58 for your third place driver right there. So it's a little bit more competitive in this second heat than in what it was in the first one. It was pure domination for the driver in the first heat. This one, Blake is going to have to really work for it here.
And I will agree with you there, Terry. This field is absolutely stacked. Some mainstay names of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Blake Lothian comes to mind. Devin Painter, Brady the Buff, of course, a former champion of the series. Raul Meza, James Haney, Adam Newbert. Really, all these drivers in this field have been competitive all season long, and especially a shout out there to Robert Richards in the 48 truck there at P3 right now. Had a rough go this season so far, been caught up in a lot of incidents that weren't his fault after some strong runs. Really doing well here in our second heat race of the night.
Yeah, he is doing very well, sitting up there in the 3rd position and making a lot of headway early on. He's up 3 positions so far, up to that position. So now you have to think, okay, we get a fresh start. We get a better restart. Now the 99 can potentially time the 43 here as the pace truck drops down.
Pace truck drops down. We'll go back to green flag racing here. Blake Lothian on the outside is going to get a good jump again. Brady LaBeouf on the 9 truck is going to look to the outside of Devin Painter here and try to beat him coming off of turn 2. Painter's trying to make that inside line work here and maybe try to go for the slide job here going into 3. He does, but he doesn't quite have enough to make it stick. That's going to allow the 48 of Richards to try to sneak in the middle of these two, but the door closes rather quickly on him. And while this is going on, Terry, it allows the 43 truck of Blake Lothian to get out to a lead with only 3 laps to go here, coming to 2 this time by the stripe.
And that's exactly what Blake wanted to see in the 43 Toyota Tundra. He wanted to see people get racy behind him. He saw a 3-way fight for the P2 position. Painter ended up coming out on top there, not really making a whole lot of headway. And while it was only been, a lap since they've cleared themselves, it was almost a full 1/10 of a second faster for Blake Lothian, who has pulled away to 1 second in this corner. And he's losing a little time because you see him. He's up there ripping the wall. Painter, he's coming for him.
Painter does seem to be getting a little bit of an advantage on that gap up to Lothian, and see how aggressive he drives that 99 truck into turns 1 and 2. We'll see what he does here in 3 and 4. Again, tries to ride that wall up to the high side. Lothian chooses for a more middle line here. It's going to be 2 laps to go this time by, this is the white flag lap actually of this heat here, or the second heat of the night here on the NASRA Triple M Series, Triple M Pulling Truck Series All-Star Race. Painter going to try to dive it down here into turns 3 and 4, but he's not going to have enough. And Blake Lothian is going to be your winner in heat race number 2 here tonight from Eldora Speedway.
I think if we'd had 2 more laps, I don't think that Lothian would have been able to hold Painter off there. He learned something. He learned something from watching that first heat.
Oh, I could agree. 100%. I agree with you. I think if Painter just had a few more laps there, definitely found some speed in that 99 truck. We'll take a look at your results here from heat race number 2 before we get ready for the LCQ. Blake Lothian out of New England in the Toyota wins his number 43 Toyota Tundra TRD. Devin Painter in the 99 out of Virginia. It becomes a P2. Robert Richards in the 48 P3 out of Newburgh in the 4. In position number 4, so look how appropriate that is. Brady LaBeouf, the former champion, comes across in 5th spot. Raul Meza, James Haney, Dana Shepard, and Torrey Thompson will round out the rest of your field. So now we go to the LCQ, Terry, and we've seen 2 heat races so far, a little appetizer, if you will, of the racing we're going to see here. Of course, our main course is going to be a 75-lap feature, but before that, we've got a 20-lap LCQ. What are your thoughts going to... Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have an LCQ, actually. They kind of threw the curveball on me there. So I guess because of the field size and just how it worked out, everybody's going to make the main. So that's good for us, Terry, because we have about a 20-21 lap truck, 20-21 truck feature here. Excuse me.
Yeah, and that works out perfect because now you have to think, it looks again that the track did not reset itself, and while we are in the warm-up at the moment, we'll go into the main or the feature here soon, and we'll get to see 75 laps. And once again, I think memory serves it that there will not be caution laps counting in this event either, and if maybe it does, but the caution really won't come out a whole lot here on dirt. I believe it's admin thrown cautions or maybe iRacing cautions. I was quickly scanning at the rules here to see what we were gonna pull tonight, but I expect to see a lot of give and take early on. I expect to see people lifting a little bit more when they see a slide job coming at them. I do not expect to see drivers just sailing it in there, throwing caution to the wind. This is an all-star race, and at the end of the day, you want to be the best on dirt, which is something they don't get to do very often.
And you mentioned the driver's out for a warm-up period right now. It almost looks like, and I think this is what they're doing here, they're doing the kind of ceremonial 4 or 5 wide parade lap here for the fans in attendance here at Eldora Speedway, and also for you fans at home watching on Racecraft TV. Again, this is going to be a 75-lap feature. We originally scheduled a 20-lap LCQ if we needed it. We ended up not needing it here. These drivers will fan out for a parade lap here in front of the stands here at Eldora Speedway. And this is actually kind of cool to see, Terry. This is kind of a hallmark of dirt racing, and you also see this at Fontana Speedway and NASCAR as well, that 5-wide parade lap they do before the start of the race. So drivers here just giving the fans a little bit of a show.
Yeah, I mean, there's more traditional dirt fans out there than I even expected on iRacing and in general. this is something that you want to see. It throws back. They have 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes here to go around, and they're testing the lines too. Everybody wants to see what's rubbered in, what's grooved up, what's got more dirt on it, what's wetter, what's got the most grip across here. And you saw the drivers starting to pull away a little bit faster just to see if maybe that bottom had a little bit more. What was able to run? What lane can you pull that's going to make you faster at the end? We saw the high lane against the wall was working for the 99 of Painter. You saw it in the first heat where the wall was working very, very well. So now we're going to see, can the bottom play advantage? Can the middle play some advantage? And well, who's going to be the one that's going to come out on top? And are we going to see some fireworks on the track? And we know we'll see fireworks when we cross the start-finish line for the checkered flag, because these dirt tracks know how to put a race on.
They sure do, Terry. And about a minute left in qualifying here. Of course, Ted Wade and Blake Lothian being your heat race winners. They will more than likely start on the pole for this race. I don't know of any kind of invert. The LCQ got switched up on me here, so maybe a few things that I'm not quite entirely ready for here. I don't think there is an invert, but there possibly is. That is a dirt track thing. But I think if you see there, Ted Wade, Blake Lothian are going to be on your front row, and Ted Wade has won 3 races so far this season. Terry, to kind of get you up to speed a little bit. Blake Lothian winless this season in points racing, and obviously this is your all-star race event. There's no points being paid out here tonight, but still a lot of bragging rights on the line for all of these drivers. And if you're somebody like Blake Lothian that doesn't have a win in the regular season, Ryan Blaney in the NASCAR Cup Series comes to mind. Maybe you go in and you get that win at the all-star race. Doesn't ran into much dividends in the regular season for Ryan Blaney. He's still winless, but maybe you get some momentum here by winning the All-Star race, even though there is no points being paid out.
Yeah, and momentum in a win anywhere is going to carry you into the future events. Who knows? Maybe you'll see one of these guys come out here that are winless and get this. There's people that are just dirt racers. I mean, you look at Connor Berry comes to mind last night watching him race. Cam Peterson, he was in a Volkswagen and he won the race. So anytime you put one of these drivers on dirt, in a truck, in a car, whatever, they could find a way to win this. But I would expect to see Blake Lothian actually sit on the door of Ted Wade here, because he showed some speed.
And showed some speed, he indeed did. And you make a good point here, Terry. It's not exactly as dominant as it's been all season long for Ted Wade. Sure, he won his first heat race, and so did Blake Lothian in the 43 truck, so they're sitting on the front row. But it wasn't like the runaway style of driving we're used to with Ted Wade. Of course, Blake was in a different heat, but the lap times were very similar. So, of course, as we get started here tonight for our feature race of 75 laps, that's going to be something to keep in mind. Will Ted Wade maybe fall to one of these dirt course ringers, or will he be able to keep the momentum that he has from the regular season, take it into the All-Star race, get a little bit of bragging rights, and then go back racing next week at Atlanta on September 9th? So the field will start rolling here. We might have a grid for you, we may not. I know it was kind of confused by the heat racing earlier, but you see we see on the left side there, we still have the timing tower for you, of course. So Ted Wade will start on the pole, followed by Blake Lothian, the winner of heat race number 2. The Radley in the 29 truck rolling off in P number 3. Devin Painter in the 99 in P4. Abbott and Richards round out your row number 3. Not Newbert and Cantwell, your top 9 positions. And then your last year's champ, Terry Brady LaPuff, is going to roll off in P10, and that's going to round out your top 10 here tonight from Eldora feature race.
Yeah, you look at Jeff Sickles, that's going to be there in 11th, and you got Raul Meza going to be 12th, Keith Haney in 13th, James Haney in 14th, Dana Shepard, and Troy Thompson will round out your top 16 with Blanchard and Taylor Peacock looking to be not on the grid just yet. We'll see if that changes once we take the green flag. Maybe they decided to start on pit road here.
Yeah, they haven't taken the grid yet, and the pace truck there will dive to the safety of pit roads. That's why not showing up on your timing tower. But we will go green here for our feature race at Eldora. This is the first of 75 laps, and already Ted Wade trying to dive to the bottom, get that slide job up there. We have a little bit of Jocelyn and RG Bargy back in the field, a couple of drivers battling here, and really these first laps, these drivers are just going to try to find where they're at the racetrack. You see that aggressive slide job move by Lothian there all the way up the racetrack. And Ted Wade dives down to the bottom, tries to cross over here and repay the favor with the move into turn 1. He is going to get there, and he was clear of Lothian for a second, but Lothian's going to battle back on the bottom side here. Now this invites the 29 truck of Bradley in. He's going to join us here, and we have a caution on the racetrack. I'm not entirely sure what happened yet, Terry, but that was an exhilarating battle there at the beginning between Blake Lothian and Ted Wade, just trading slide jobs on each other.
Well, I knew coming in, like sitting there watching Blake in the second heat race, that he really wasn't going to lift and he wasn't going to back down from Ted Wade. As you see right here, the 96 of Troy Thompson having some issues here once again, had issues in the heat race, and it translates over. Dirt's not for everybody. I would probably cause at least 5 cautions in this race as he goes around in turn number 3. Looked like he was trying to come back down on pit lane and potentially brought the caution, and it did. So in the racing lane, in the groove, caused the caution here, and it looks like caution laps are going to count as we've put another lap on the board.
So caution laps will count in the feature race. That does make a little bit more sense. You don't want to count them in the heats where it's only a couple of laps. That would kind of ruin the point of even running the heat race in the first place, I guess, Terry. But only 4 laps, going to be coming to 5 laps gone by initially. And yeah, I have to agree with you. This dirt racing is definitely challenging for some of the drivers that don't do it very often. And there's really no similarities between dirt racing in an oval and asphalt racing on an oval, except for the fact that they're both ovals. Is that right, Terry?
Absolutely. I mean, you think about the lack there of grip here on a dirt track where you really can't mash the throttle as hard. You just want to sink it to the right and then swing it back to the left to get as much slide as possible. You do that on an asphalt track or a concrete track, your rear tires are gone. You're not going to make another lap. But these drivers are working it in the 43. Man, he's got a piece under him.
He sure does. We're back to green flag racing here from the Eldora Speedway for our NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series All-Star Race. And again, you see the 43 of Blake Lothian getting out to the early lead with the jump on Ted Wade. And we saw how imperative it's been all season long. If you're going to make a move on Ted Wade, you probably have to do it on the restart. Once he's out in front, he's hard to beat. And you see these top 4 trucks so far just battling you. It's a kind of a group here, these 4 at the front and then the rest of the field behind him. And you saw the rest of the field there, Terry, coming out of turns 3 and 4. They were not really organized at all. They were kind of all over the place battling for position.
Well, and they're all looking for grip. They're all looking for room on the racetrack, and I'm not surprised with that 99 ripping the very, very top. And a slide job gets pulled on him. That's from the 29. He didn't make it stick. 2 bobbles a little bit. The 99's all the way up against the wall once again. He's almost in the back of the 2. Ted Wade, hold on, do it!
Oh, wow. That looked a lot closer on camera, I will say, Terry, than it actually ended up being, because from our angle there, it looked like Ted Wade was basically doing what the 29 just did to the 99 of Devin Painter there, just slide up right in front of him and clearing himself. There was a little bit more room on the racetrack than we both thought there. Maybe a little bit more excitement, but here we have some excitement. That's the 48 truck. I know at least one truck there smoking, diving down to pit road. That's going to be the 82 machine. This brings out our second yellow of the night here on lap 10. Let's see what happened, Terry. I'm sure we'll have a replay here soon. Of course, Zach Johnson in the production truck bringing us all the great shots from around Eldora Speedway here tonight. Forgot to mention that at the top of the broadcast, so Zach, please don't hurt me there. Looks like the 48 got into the wall a little bit and then kind of just self-spun. Gets back up in front here. Collects the 82, and it looks like one of the truck at the bottom. I saw that was the 78 of Haney. Then you have the 8, and it looks like the 90 or the
55 of James
55,
Haney.
Yeah. Haney spinning behind him there. So kind of a chain reaction starting by the 48, kind of getting squirrely all by himself there, Terry.
Yeah, he bounced up into the wall. Robert Richards catches the wall down the straightaway, hits there's divots in dirt, and you know, this was one thing that kind of confused me the first time I ever raced on dirt. You go down in the corner and you think that the lap before you had a lot of room, and you think, okay, I got plenty of time to get down in the corner as quick as possible, and then you hit a rut, and that rut wasn't there a lap before, and then you go over it again, and the rut's gone. It starts to fill itself back up, and then it ruts again, and you think, okay, well, I'm going to go up to the middle, and then boom, you hit another bump, and it unsettles these cars, especially these trucks. These are massive stock cars with the dirt setup in them. So while it's much different, and you're not going to necessarily hit a massive rut on any other form of racing, this is what makes trucks at Eldora probably the most prestigious and one of the most unique races of all time.
Unique indeed. We go back to green flag racing. I kind of remind myself of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, not the NASCAR Camping World, or sorry, Craftsman Truck Series. Kind of going for a blast of the past there. This used to be the home of the Eldora Dirt Derby for them. Of course, the dirt race for NASCAR has moved to Eldora Speedway, but we're racing here tonight in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series for their All-Star race, and off that last restart, Ted Wade was able to grab the lead over the 29 of Bradley there. Blake Lothian sits in third place right now. Devin Painter and then Keith Haney round out your top five. Brady LaBeouf tries to make the bottom side work here on the 4 of Adam Newbert. He's losing a little bit of ground to him, and it's allowing Cody not there in the 26 to kind of catch up. He's going to look to the bottom here on Brady LaBeouf. And as we get into a longer green flag run, as we see the two trucks get together there, the Brady LaBeouf's going to get shot all the way to the bottom. I thought that was going to be a little bit more problematic than it ended up being, Terry.
Not surprised at all that these drivers are really searching. They're out here trying to find each and every spot on the racetrack as contact's made there. I believe that's the 8 and the 2 again. There's contact being made every which direction. And they made the contact getting big hard to the wall. Big shot there for Brady LaBeouf as he goes smack dab into the wall, and your vision's impaired here as well. You go into the corner, you don't necessarily know. Oh, trucks around.
Oh my goodness, the 9 of Brady LaBeouf and the 48 there looks like got together. Looks like the 55 also involved.
That 55's been hit by everything but the pace truck so far.
Essentially, Terry, you're not wrong.
Every time we've seen the yellow so far, he's getting caught up in somebody else's mess.
No, yeah, and we'll see what happened here. A little bit of... You can't bump draft on dirt. That's one thing. That gets the 48 unsettled, and then Brady LaBeouf kind of just files into him from there. It's unfortunate for Robert Richards in the 48 machine. Not really anything that he did there. Maybe kind of got loose coming off of 4. It looks like, yeah, you see that there, and then Brady LaBeouf, he's trying to race as hard as he can there still, Terry, so you can't blame him for not lifting, but then it kind of just starts off the chain reaction from there.
Yeah, Haney couldn't get slowed down here. Hitting the brakes on a dirt track is rather difficult because the back end then wants to slide. So it's tough brakes so far for the 55 machine, but hey, truck's still intact. Damage really doesn't mean a whole lot here. I mean, you can beat and bang in these trucks as long as you don't have motor damage. Aero means really nothing as long as the thing can turn and you could figure out how to get around. You just wait for the big one on dirt to happen, and hey, you might find yourself in victory lane.
Well, I was chuckling to myself a little bit there, Terry, because there's a running joke with a gentleman that I work with that you can draft harder on dirt with go-karts than you can at Daytona or Talladega, so we always give him a hard time for that. So you saying that there kind of made me chuckle here. We're going to be going back to green flag racing, I believe this time by. It looks like the lights are off on the pace truck. Give a shout out to the track maintenance here at Eldora, getting us back to green flag racing very quickly. In the 29 of Keith Bradley, what a jump he had there, Terry, going off in the turn 1, leaves the rest of the field in the dust. And right now, Ted Wade's got to be scrambling for second place. He's under fire from Blake Lothian. Devin Painter behind him, Keith Haney in the 78 truck. They're getting together behind him, but right now, Keith Bradley just kind of opening up a can of about 0.8 of a second on these guys, Terry, and not looking back.
Well, I'm going to wonder what race control says about Keith Bradley's jump, because he was not the leader. The leader was Ted Wade coming there, and Keith Bradley was second on the outside. So I'm going to be very curious to see what they say about that one, because it looks like the 29 maybe jumped that restart, but everybody goes single file, and well, that makes typical sense. You go back to the back and you start to see a two-wide battle for, I believe that would be the 11th place position, but nothing too wild here so far. Every single person is just trying to hold on for dear life, trying not to wreck this thing. You see the 55 looks like he's just slowing off the pace here. Might have had a little bit of motor damage that he can't necessarily keep up. Looks like he's going to try to come down the virtual pit lane here as he's all the way down on the bottom, or maybe he's looking for somebody, who knows. But that 29 still ripping the top as hard as possible. But don't look now. Ted Wade ran a 19.11. He is on a mission.
Ted Wade seems to have kind of figured it out there from the start, and that is an interesting point, Terry. We'll be looking in that going forward. I don't think we have a live race control here tonight. That's usually the 999 car on our timing tower, so I think we're just relying on the iRacing cautions tonight, and that's kind of an interesting question to ask yourself. You said he was on the outside line. He kind of jumped that start on the outside. I've only been black flagged for a pass on the inside in iRacing, so I'm not sure how the outside line works. Regardless, what it leads to right now is the 29 of Keith Bradley trying to fight off the 2 of Ted Wade. They're separated right now about 9/10 of a second. Right now on your screen you see the 99 of Devin Payer and the 43 of Blake Lothian. This is one of the best battles on the track so far. Payer trying to reel down the 43 machine of Blake Lothian. Lothian running that extreme high line, even beating the right rear quarter panel off of the truck a little bit there. And you know, Terry, it kind of looks like these guys are out of control a little bit, bouncing their trucks all off the walls, but sometimes it actually helps you turn.
Oh, it absolutely does. It'll make it. You see a truck around here. We'll see who that one is. It looks like it's the 8 machine still going around. Can't get the traction on the rear of this truck. But yeah, the wall's going to help you turn as much as possible. You can kind of use it as in bowling terms. You can use it as the rails. You know, people who are beginners in bowling, they put the bumpers up. They go out there and they bowl maybe a 200. You put your kids up there on the lanes. They bowl really, really well. But right now, who's bowling really well is the 99. That throwback to Jeff Burton, he's all over the back bumper of that 43. He goes down to the bottom looking for a slider, and you got Blake Lothian. He's still running the wall. He hasn't left it. Back in, kicked out. 78 comes up with Keith Haney. Everybody seems to be finding the most grip right now. Rim riding.
And we look on board right now with the 43 truck looking off the back end of Blake Lothian's machine. You see the battle there between the 99 of Devin Painter and the 78 of Keith Haney, and we saw Painter try to make that slide job move work on the 43 of Lothian there, Terry, and he wasn't quite able to make it done. And look what happened. It kind of opened the door there for Keith Haney and the 78 to catch up to him. Now he's going to battle Keith Haney.
And he is going to have to battle him. And you think about what we just saw there with the 43 going down to the bottom. You can't be content, right? You can never be content with what you're doing on the racetrack. You have to look for different ways. You see that the middle's starting to rubber up a tad bit, so you're going to get a whole lot more slide there, but you don't want a whole lot of slides. You want it to be sort of on the verge of out of control. You want the truck to be yawed out a tad bit in the rear just to get the slide through the corner. Then you want to get it back as straight as possible when you're back on the throttle off exit. So interesting to see them searching around as the 45 and the 78 make contact there. Oh man, and that was big contact there for the 45 down there on the bottom. He had to stop virtually, and the caution comes out.
And that was the lap machine, the 45 of Dana Shepard, and the 78, as you mentioned, Terry, of Keith Haney. It's going to ring out a caution here on lap 35 of 75, of course, of our feature race. We'll take a look at what happened here. 22 truck's getting a little bit loose, kind of rubbing the wall. He's going to spin here. He's going to come down the racetrack, tap the inside wall. We'll see what kind of happens with the rest of that there. I think that's what brought out your caution, actually, Terry. But you mentioned before that I believe it was, it's kind of escaping me now, but you mentioned the contact between those two trucks earlier, and yeah, that was the lap car of Dana Shepard getting together with Keith Haney. And that isn't what brought out the caution, actually. But that was interesting there because you saw that Shepard there was kind of running the inside line, and it almost looked like Haney was trying to get the middle on the drive off the corner. I think we're taking another look at it now. Gonna talk us through this a little bit here, Terry. You see the 45 comes up, taps the 78. There's two guys going for the same place, looks like.
Yeah, the 78 ran the extreme outside lane there, had a really good exit off the corner, and if he would have made that stick in the 45 if Dana Shepard wouldn't have been there, I think the 78 would have had great momentum off the exit of the corner and could have potentially worked his way up to the back bumper of the 99 going into turn number 1. So interesting to see. Once again, different lines starting to prevail and starting to show their head here at Eldora, as there's a lot more rubbered in portions than what you would think. And there's going to come a time, maybe in the next 10 laps, that outside is going to be just the wall. There'll be no more dirt up there.
And you can see how the track, especially coming out of 3 and 4 here, is getting rubbered. And we go back to green flag racing. Going to be lap 38 here. Again, another great start for Haney. He's going to run the outside line, try to seal off Ted Wade there, because Ted Wade is really getting his speed off those restarts by running that outside line. Not only do you get the fresh grip up there, Terry, but you also are running the widest way around the racetrack, which allows you to kind of conserve some of that momentum. I know from my limited time at working at a dirt track, you always want to rip the lips, so to speak, and that's how you get the most speed. You see the background there, the 99 Devin Painter gets a little bit loose, going to get into the 43 of Lothian there. Looks like that's going to be the end of it. We stay green, but I kind of mentioned there, Terry, dirt racing is, you kind of want to rip the lip, and we kind of see that there. There's almost no more lip left.
Well, you don't want a catfish, that's for sure, especially in a place like this. Maybe at Knoxville, where you have a bigger berm, as a big contact into the wall for the 78 and the 4 of Adam Newbert. He's trying to make full advantage of this, but, these dirt tracks are all very different, right? You think about going to a place like Eldora, high-banked, sort of like a Bristol. When you think about it, oh, big contacts made there, the 4 goes around, and the 8's in it again. We'll see if the 55's anywhere near, because he's been in all of them. But, well, not this one, because the 55 still on pit lane.
The yellow flag will come out with 34 laps now to go. It was the 8 of Adam Cantwell and the 4 of Adam Newbert, so a little bit of Adam on Adam crime there. You unfortunate to see it, but sometimes in an all-star race with high stakes like we have tonight, Terry, it happens. You got to take out. There can only be one Adam. There can only be one Highlander. We hear it kind of looks like it starts with the 26 of Cody not possibly getting loose. No, I don't think so there. We're looking at Newbert now. See what happens to Newbert
position
here. Yeah, they're battling for position.
Damn, just slid up a tad bit there, and that's dirt racing. Like that's just good hard racing, honestly. And I think if the 8 wouldn't have spun, that's no caution. You might have had some hurt feelings. You might have had somebody get a little mad at you, but I mean that's just racing. And what a 360 there. What a save.
Yeah, that was one heck of a save. Terry, kind of go back to yesterday's shameless plug for one of our other series on Racecraft TV, the Sierra Nevada 100 ran for Yes2 Motorsport yesterday. We saw I don't know how to describe it. Maybe you could help me describe it. It was a reverse J-turn. I mean, a J-turn's already in reverse. But how would you describe what we saw yesterday to get back straight? That was kind of almost similar to what we saw there from the VW machine.
Well, I think what Josh Lee said was the reverse moonwalk. He pulled the moonwalk out on us. Had a little Michael Jackson beat it happening on in the background. Everybody was excited to see it, and yeah, that was awesome because all it takes right there in these trucks is to get on the throttle really well and just sling the thing around, and he did. I mean, the 29's going to restart. He was almost in the wall there out of 4.
Yeah, really getting on the gas early is Keith Bradley in that 29 machine. Ted Wade goes for an aggressive slide job there. He's in a clear painter, but it's going to put him into the wall. Not sure if that's going to damage that tree truck at all, and you can see that Ted Wade is really kind of trying to slice off the first half of the entry to the corner there and really just slide the first half and then rotate the truck through the latter half of the turn. He's under fire now from the 99 of Devin Painter. He's been up for the front all night long, and then of course Blake Lothian behind him. Painter gets kind of loose off it too. Looks like he's able to hang on to it.
Well, I tell you what, that two truck, he's not going to have a right side left when this race is over, because that thing is all tore to pieces. It literally looks like an ex-girlfriend or somebody that just went and keyed your truck. He has hit the wall in every which way possible, and surprisingly enough, he's getting faster as he just rode the wall all the way through the corner, and that's perfectly okay here at a dirt track, because you're not gonna need aerodynamics. You could tear the fenders off of it. The 29 gets extra sideways there, and that's going to let the 2 get right to the back bumper here. 29 banks the wall harder. The 2 goes in even deeper. They're fighting for the lead.
Well, I've heard it's a Louisville Slugger to both headlights, but it looks like someone's taking a Louisville Slugger to the right side of Ted Wade's truck. And you see it happen again there. He tries to slam the wall again, heading in the turns 1 and 2. He's giving it everything he has right now in his Q truck to try to chase down and Keith Bradley. And this is something we haven't seen much of from Ted Wade this season, is a little bit of driving out of control. Now, I understand that we're on a dirt track that's starting to wear in a little bit, but it's evident right now that Ted Wade in the Q truck, he's driving his wheels off to try to catch up to Keith Bradley as we watch this onboard shot, Terry.
Oh, this is perfect. Zach Johnson, you're an absolute genius for this one, because you're seeing the wheel just getting yanked back and forth. He's really having to work it. His hands are just moving ever so quickly. He's just banging it left, banging it right, hitting the wall, beating it off the corner, just doing every little thing that he could do. And he's watching the 29, and he's mimicking his line. He's absolutely just tearing it up here. He's going to get in the wall here, get up on 2 wheels all the way up against the wall. When you say riding the lip, he truly is riding that wall all through the corner. And by the way, he's still running 19.6s. They're the fastest 2 trucks on the racetrack, but that time it kind of bit him. He touched it a little too much, shoots him down the track, but excellent camera work right there.
And we've got one slow truck down to the bottom. Looks like they're having engine issues. That looks like the 9 of Brady LaBeouf, and you kind of mentioned it. Bradley and Wade just going toe-to-toe, just punch for punch with each other now, coming to 22 laps ago next time they cross the stripe. And that's unfortunate for the 9 truck of Brady LaBeouf. You see him pulling it into the pits there. Not entirely sure what happened. I know he's been caught up in a few incidents tonight, and there's no quick repairs, so maybe an aggregate effect. You get a look here. I'm not sure if this is on board. Oh, yeah, that'll end your night, Terry. Just kind of head first into the wall like that there.
And my mom corrects me in the chat. You're right. It was Billie Jean. My fault for the moonwalk, but it was a good little Michael Jackson reference. Regardless, we had a Carrie Underwood reference while ago. Even that was out of left field. I wasn't expecting Carrie Underwood at a dirt track, but hey, I'll take it. It's almost Sunday Night Football time in America, so I'm all for it for a good football reference. But yeah, 45 having an issue down there on the bottom. That's Dana Shepard. He's going a lap down here from your race leaders, and Bradley pulling away here. It's a second lead, and the 2 is trying to fight hard, trying to catch back up. You see contact being made here. That's the 78 and the 43 of Blake Lothian. Where is there not a good battle here so far?
And so far, it's been kind of the story of the night, is there's been kind of paired battles to all of these drivers. You mentioned Bradley and Wade, of course, battling for your lead, but right now, you take a look at the battle between the 43 of Lothian and the 78 of Keith Haney, and both of these guys have been kind of glued to each other all night long, Terry. They've been really beating and battling with each other. Seems like one of them gets the inside line and is able to complete the slide job in the next lap. The next driver gets the crossover move here, and they're battling with each other. Going to be 17 laps to go next time they get to the stripe, and they're not done yet.
They're definitely not done yet, and I think what's going to make this race even more crazy is if another caution comes out. Maybe a little commentator curse there, that if we do see the yellow flag, I expect to see Wade, I expect to see Lothian, Haney, maybe even Painter go up here and just make a complete, just an awesome slide job to maybe check up this field, maybe bottleneck the drivers in the corner to potentially make a way for them to get away a little bit. But you see right here, Lothian gets into the wall. He allows Haney to get back to the back bumper, a little bump draft, and a little tandeming on the dirt, what we've been doing all weekend officials. But that's close quarters racing between 2 drivers who were going to refuse to give up to the last lap.
And refusing to give up, they are indeed. Haney now tries to take a look to the inside, but something that's been kind of a trend of this race so far, Terry, is one driver will make the outside line work and be able to catch up to another driver, but completing the pass is another thing. As you see the Keith Bradley there.
That's the caution.
Gets into Mesa, and there's the caution, Terry. You did commentary curse it, but in this case, since it's the All-Star race, so there's no points involved, it's just bragging rights on the line. I think it's the commentary invocation because, of course, the fans at home. We're going to see one more restart at least. And this was kind of going to the point that I was going to bring up here earlier as we watch what happens here on the replay is only the passing we've seen tonight has kind of happened on the restarts. You see Haney here is going to come down, make contact with Mesa in the 37. That's going to push him into the wall. One other truck there gets collected. And that's going to bring out the yellow, obviously. But we've only really seen passing here, like I said, Terry, on the restarts. Green flag racing, we've kind of seen situations like this where two drivers get bottlenecked and then something like this happens and a yellow comes out, but it's been very hard to pass here tonight. And of course, we talked about the slide job all night long, making that dive to the bottom line, sliding up in front of your competitor. We haven't seen that much once it gets into the stretch of 10, 15 laps, and we're going to probably be coming to green here with, I would say, maybe 11, maybe 12 laps to go. You're going to have to make your move right off this restart jump here.
Well, now this is when the slide jump is going to be ever so important, because if you don't make it now, your time's going to be up. It's going to be like the John Cena swip of his theme song from the Doctor of Thugonomics to, you know, you can't see me, John Cena look with the hustle, loyalty, and respect. So if you have to make it now, you have to beat Bradley here on this restart if you're the two truck of Ted Wade, because he hasn't been able to get back to the back bumper of it without destroying his own truck. And if you're Lothian or Haney, well, guess what? Your race just got reset. You were 5 seconds back. You're right on the back bumper. You see the leader's name tape.
Keith Bradley, Ted Wade. Keith Bradley has been leading so far. Ted Wade lead earlier in this race. We're going back to green flag racing. What is Ted Wade going to be able to do here as they dive down into turn one? Plays a safe, conservative line, just follows in with the wheel marks of the 29 of Keith Bradley there and is going to try to run him down. We've seen Ted Wade make a few aggressive moves to the inside. Lothian, Haney, Painter, the rest of your top five back from there. Newbert, Knott, Shepard, Cantwell, and Mesa make up your top 10. Cantwell and Mesa one lap down. And the rest of your drivers are either on pit road or out of the race so far. So really a battle between the top 8 trucks. Terry, make it the top 4 trucks right now. I would say back to Haney, maybe throw Painter in there. And this little group of 5 that we have battling for the win right now. That was 9 laps ago, that time across the stripe. Mesa's going to make a move to the inside of Newbert here. Mesa was given an end-of-line penalty last time by. I'm not sure if they determined that accident between him and Haney to be at fault, or if there was something else between that and there. But back up at the top of the field, Keith Bradley was able to hold off Ted Wade once again on that restart, and right now is in the catbird seat, Terry, coming to 7 laps ago this time by. It's his race to lose.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And the 29, all he has to do is keep that wheel as straight as possible. And that's hard. That's easy enough to say from up here. You have to be a little bit more steady with it. You can't allow the truck to control you. You have to be in control 100%. And for Ted Wade, he just has to hold it out of the wall as much as possible. If he can rip the lip like he has been doing in the early portion of this race, and he can just keep it about a truck length off of that wall and maybe dive it in a tad bit more and do what Keith Haney's been doing, arcing it in, hitting from the top, working back down to the bottom into the slick. He might be able to work it. At that time, he closes into 0.3 of a second. He didn't touch the wall at all. He barely touches it there. He's there. He's on the back bumper. That's 1/10 of a second.
5 laps to go. The drivers get the high five from Barney the Flagman, this time by Keith Bradley, trying to hold off Ted Wade in the closing stages of the All-Star race. And towards the back of the field, I see a spare. That's the 4 of Adam Newbert. That's going to bring the caution flag out. Newbert was spun, battling for position back in the field. I saw it out of the corner of my eye up here from the Racecraft TV booth, Terry. We'll see if we can get a replay of that there. I believe it was a 4 of Newbert. Like I said, I just saw it and it caught my eye. I'm not sure who else was involved, but we'll see here on the replay. Again, it's the Adam on Adam crime. We've seen it happen before here tonight, Terry, and it happened again there. Adam Newbert and Adam Cantwell, the 4 and the 8 trucks getting together there.
Oh, and Mesa did a great job squeezing up against the wall, not getting involved here. But this is 2 drivers going for the same real estate on the racetrack. And then just, oh, what a near miss for the 37 machine. But that's not what Ted Wade wanted to see. I can imagine that on these restarts, it should be a green-white checkered. If my math is correct, I didn't want to see this restart. I didn't want to be back down on the bottom having to work your way back to the top because he had gotten in a rhythm. That rhythm is now broken. Now you have to refine that rhythm, and could it be a little too late for him to get up there in that 2 machine to maybe ruffle the 29 up a tad bit? Because once again, there's no points. So if you dump somebody, hey, it's all-star racing.
It is all-star racing indeed, but these drivers do have to deal with each other for at least 10 more weeks after this. We will be going to a green-white checkered finish. Of course, we have 2 possible green-white checker attempts in our feature race tonight. This will be the first of them. So Ted Wade to the inside, Keith Bradley on the outside. He is in control. He is your control car right now. And if you're Ted Wade, you got to do something a little bit different, Terry. He's been able to get such a jump on the restart so far. Keith Bradley in that 29 truck on the high side. Ted Wade was making the slide job work earlier. I think the track is maybe degraded to a point where we can't do that here, but we'll find out what happens as they dive into turn 1. We are green again. Keith Bradley again able to hold off Ted Wade heading into turn 1. Haney and Lothian battling behind that. The 99 of Painter is around, and it looks like the 26 of Knott. That'll bring out the yellow again, so we're going to re-rack them again here. Looks like 2 drivers getting off of 4, and maybe some hard feelings here, Terry. I'm not sure if Evan Painter there did the greatest job of avoiding Cody he possibly could there going back to pit road.
Well, cue the Taylor Swift. We got some bad blood out here on this racetrack because those 2 drivers sent it back down there after they got it straightened up. We take a look at the replay here where you're going to see the 99 is going to be up against the wall, kind of cut the nose of the 26 off, and it's just going to be a chain reaction. And maybe that's why the 26 was a little mad, because he had to check up a tad bit, and you see he's going to come down and share his displeasure with that 99 because, well, if you're going to pull the slides, you can't necessarily come across somebody's bumper like that. But once again, that's not what Ted Wade wanted to see. While he got his best restart of the night, I would say, from the low lane, can you do it again is going to be the real question.
And of course, the farther we go on these tires aren't that much of an issue. We're on dirt, right? So, tire sets aren't really too much of a concern, but it is a thing. More heat you put in the tires and then cool them back off, they do degrade more. So I'm not sure if that will be any kind of an advantage or disadvantage to Ted Wade here. Of course, this is going to be the second of our green-white checkered attempts. If you're joining us for the first time, you don't quite know what the green-white checkered is. We're going to get the green flag, and then we're going to go 1 lap. If the drivers get the white flag, this race is official. In this case, if we get any kind of flag, it's going to be an ended flag, and it's going to be the checkered flag for these drivers. But we're going to get the white flag and then the checkered flag. So a 2-lap shootout here to the end. Again, Keith Bradley on the outside line, Ted Wade on the inside. It's really been a battle between those 2 so far. Lothian and Painter behind them have also been having their own little battle. And again, Keith Bradley gets a great restart here with 3 to go. It's going to be our final green-white checkered attempt. You know there's going to be a slide job coming here, and there is. It's from the 43 of Lothian. He gets into the 2 of Ted Wade, and that is going to be your race. We'll see who got across the timing loops first. You're going to get the yellow flag here, obviously, so it looks like Keith Bradley is going to be your winner here. He's going to get the yellow and checkered flag this time around.
He can't pass the pace car, though. Oh, he stopped. It looked like he wanted to rip it past that pace car. You can't do that. You gotta stay behind him.
That would be detrimental. And yes, it looks like Keith Bradley's going to come to the yellow and checkered flags here, and he's going to win the NASRA Triple M Bowling Truck Series All-Star Race at Eldora. Gets a little bit of a tap there from Ted Wade, a congratulatory tap, and that's got to feel good if you're Keith Bradley. Hasn't had any win on the season yet as far as points paying races go, but gets it done here tonight from Eldora in the All-Star race. That's got to feel excellent for Keith Bradley indeed. And maybe we mentioned at the top of the broadcast here, a little bit of a confidence going into the rest of the season there, Terry.
Well, and like you said, you mentioned it earlier in the thing with Ryan Blaney winning the All-Star race at Texas in the Cup Series. Now, while Ryan Blaney has not had a win, an official points-paying win, he ran better. He went to the very next track and had a better result than he had really put all season long, and he's been up there in contention for it. Now I'm just kind of curious when we get to Atlanta in our next race here for this series. Can Keith Bradley come in there? While this is different, a different style of racing than what we're going to see at Atlanta, can he go do it? Can he say, hey, I am the all-star champion. I bested all of you on dirt. I want to go do it for real, for real. And for real, as you take a look at the replay, the two sent it in for the slide, and Lothian was there. That's dirt racing, boys.
Yeah, I don't think, going back to your earlier points here, I don't think anybody has ever had any complaints about winning. So Keith Bradley right now, we're watching out the windows of the press box here, drives it in the Eldora victory lane. And of course, we'll have interviews with your top three finishers as always: Keith Bradley, Ted Wade, and then Keith Haney. Of course, your top three. We'll get a look at the rest of your grid here in just a moment. But what a race by the 29 truck of Keith Bradley. And really, Ted Wade was up there and dominant like he always is, but not quite able to get it done. You saw he kind of got stacked behind Keith Bradley there and wasn't able to go anywhere from there. As we'll take a look at the full results, of course, Keith Bradley, your winner here tonight from Eldora Speedway. It does say Blake Lothian on the screen right there. I guess we'll just ignore that. I guess the ATVO decided that it was going to take the day off tonight. But don't worry, I have the real results for you over here. The two of Ted Wade comes home in second place. Keith Haney in the 78 third. Devin Painter in the 99 P4. Adam Newbert P5. There's the real results that we have now. Raul Meza, after getting caught up in a few incidents, comes across P6. Cody Knott in the 26 truck P7. Dana Shepard in 8th position. Adam Cantwell, your first truck, one lap down, comes across in 9th. Blake Lothian in the 43 will round out your top 10. Terry, and who else do we have here finishing the night from Eldora?
Well, we got Jeffrey Sickles back there in the 22 machine, finishing P11. James Haney in the 55, who managed to hit everything on the racetrack but the hot dog stand and the pace truck. He got collected in everything. Still comes home with a P12 here tonight. Brady LaBeouf in 13th. Robert Richards in 14th. Brian Abbott in the 82 rounds out 15th. And you got Torrey Thompson in 16th. Christopher Blanchard in 17th. And Taylor Peacock rounds out your 18-car field here this afternoon.
And what a race it was, of course, tonight from Eldora. And Keith Bradley is your winner. And without further ado, we go down to Eldora Victory Lane. We're standing by with Keith Bradley. Keith, congratulations on your win here from Eldora. And I know it wasn't a points-paying race, but the All-Star race still has the feel good. What were you able to do tonight to get it done over Ted Wade there? We really haven't seen anybody beat him on the long run this season.
Just ripped the wall down, ripped the lip up there on the cushion. That was the preferred line. That was the fastest line, and it definitely helps that I've raced here in real life in a non-wing sprint car.
Well, yeah, that definitely would help for sure. So talk a little bit about that real life experience that you have. I mean, what were you able to bring over here onto the iRacing service? Is it an accurate representation in your mind? Does the track condition degrade like it does in real life? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, to a point. I mean, you got to really, it's all comes down to throttle control, like in real life, like how the track was real glassed over tonight, real slick. You really couldn't mash the gas. You had to be real patient with the throttle and not spin your tires. And that's the same way as it is in real life. And the line at Eldora in real life is up on the wall, and in a non-wing car, in other cars, it's down at the bottom. But I felt like I was pretty comfortable once when I got in a groove, and it raced pretty similar to what it does in real life.
Well, you get it home first tonight from Eldora, a place you've raced at in real life. So that's pretty cool as well. You find yourself in P11 in the standings right now. I know this is the All-Star race, so we're not paying points or anything like that. But what does that do for your confidence levels going into Atlanta? How do you feel going there, and what's your mindset for the rest of the regular season?
It definitely helps. It definitely helps boost a little bit of momentum. I mean, we're going to go to Atlanta, which is a big unknown. I look at it as another wild card race, like another super speedway. But yeah, it really helps the confidence. It really helps the momentum. Ain't really had the season that I hoped for. I know I missed a couple races, so we'll find our groove here. We'll get it ramped up to 100.
Well, you got it ramped up to 100 tonight. It was good enough for first place tonight, Keith. And as Keith Bradley of the 29 truck coming home in first place tonight here on Racecraft TV. Congratulations there, Keith.
Thanks. I just want to give a big shout out to NASRA, Triple M Polling, NASRA 360. You guys up in the booth, Racecraft, thanks for bringing an excellent broadcast every Friday. And my sponsors, Dan's Top Notch Heating and Cooling, Over the Top Designs, Abruzzi Racewear. My teammates, Ted, he cut me a lot of breaks there.
And again, that was Keith Bradley, your winner here tonight from Eldora. Always good to talk to Keith, and pretty cool to see that he had some real life experience there, Terry. But you're standing by with our second place winner, the 2 truck of Ted Wade.
Well, Ted Wade, what's up, man?
How's it going, guys?
You're going pretty good. You had a very eventful race right there. You set the fastest lap time of the race with a 19.11. You did that a little earlier on in the event, but I want to talk to you about your untraditional line you had around here where you hit that wall more times than I could count.
Yeah, man, I was just trying to find some grip, and if you drove in straight, I just could not get the truck to turn, so I just kept sailing it in there and kicking the back end around till it hit the wall and kicked me back straight out.
Yeah, you caught the wall quite often, and the caution started to come out, and I started to see that your restart there was getting better and better. It continuously kept growing where you could stay with the 29 there, and you wouldn't allow him to pull away. Did you race him any different because he was a teammate, or did that matter? If you could have got to the back bumper of him, would you have maybe given him a little nudge to go into the corner faster?
Oh yeah, definitely. We were letting it all hang out there. Me and him both were pretty much that whole race. We were trying to separate ourselves a little bit before I'd run him down, and like on the restarts we'd get bunched up. But I had a couple opportunities there. I was about to throw a slider on him, and then the yellow would come out.
Well, you come home P2, and that's momentum building for Atlanta coming up next time. This truck series will be on the track. But let's thank your sponsors. What put that truck out here on the track tonight for the All-Star race?
Oh yeah, I'd like to give John Hedrick at Over the Top Designs a big shout out. He's the whole reason we do this. Dan's Top Notch Heating and Cooling, Abruzzi Racewear, NASRA, Racecraft TV, everybody over at Triple M Pooling also. And everyone's been pretty great.
Well, Ted Wade, congratulations on your P2 finish tonight. And Ian, we got one more driver down here, the driver of the 78 machine, Keith Haney.
And I'm standing by with the 78 truck right now, and Keith Haney. And Keith, we've watched you all season long. You've consistently been in the top 5, really challenging for race wins, and if not a race win, a good finish. It seems like every single week, and really seems like you came into your own here on the dirt track here at Eldora. Is dirt racing something you have familiarity with, or you just happen to find something in the truck that you like tonight?
Shoot, no, man. We came in here tonight with our fingers crossed just to finish this thing. And once I seen that we had a shot at a top 3, man, we buckled up the seatbelts a little bit and we gripped the steering wheel and we went for it. And
we saw you all night long kind of around incidents. You weren't the cause of any incidents, but there was incidents. You were incident adjacent, let's say that. What did you do tonight kind of just to avoid some of those incidents and keep your truck as clean as you did to end up in P3? Man, we had a 4-leaf clover in our pocket tonight for sure. That was a one wreck right there where, man, a collision happened in front of me, and the seas parted, and I was able to drive right through it. I was sure that was the end of our night there, but man, we got through that one. Well, you got through this one tonight. You got home P3, so safe to say survival goal. You can check that one off in the team hauler tonight. We go to Atlanta next week. It's going to be the high banked new super speedway configuration, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there. You might know better than me, but what are you looking forward to there? Are you going to get the 78 truck in victory lane? We hope so. I think our worst enemy is cautions. If these things can go green, and I seem to do better when tire wear is a pretty big factor. I need to get up on the wheel a little more, I believe, to start knocking off some wins and be up there with Ted
and Joey and some of these other guys that are really up front every week. It seems like man, I'm lacking on the short run. I always notice myself catching these guys over the long runs, but it's never enough to be there, to be in contention. But I definitely see the lap times ticking off, but it's too little too late for the most part. So as soon as I can find out how to pick up my short run speed and not tear up the tires too much, at the same time, I believe we can start picking up some wins, or at least grab one away from old Ted. He's a great friend of mine, so I love seeing him win each week. And Keith Bradley, Chris Cinnamon, those guys, real good trio there. So we try to learn from those guys. They're like a sister team, I guess you could say. We're in the Ford camp, they're in the Chevy camp, but we still consider ourselves team, so to speak. And I got a lot to learn from those guys.
Well, speaking of your team, Keith, they're good enough to get you home P3 today, and you're driving as well. Who do you want to shout out? Who helps you get it done out there on the racetrack?
I definitely want to give a shout out to you guys over at Racecraft for putting on an amazing broadcast. We love going back and watching the show. I even watch your rallycross shows and everything. Y'all do an amazing job. And all the admins at NASRA, this place wouldn't be what it is without those guys for sure. Over the Top Designs, John Hendrick. If you're looking for an awesome iRacing paint, he's definitely the guy to go contact. Over the Top Designs. And Dan's Top Notch Heating and Cooling. We definitely appreciate those guys for supporting our team.
Well, we appreciate you coming up and joining us here in the Racecraft TV booth. That was Keith Haney, driver of the number 78 machine, coming home in P3 tonight. But of course, your winner tonight from the Eldora Speedway here again is Keith Bradley. He wins the NASRA Triple M Polling Truck Series All-Star Race at Eldora. And Terry, what an exciting race we had here tonight. And I appreciate you coming in here and being by my side in the commentary booth for my inaugural broadcast. That was a lot of fun here from Eldora. Well, what were your thoughts? What stood out to you tonight?
Well, first, I want to say congratulations. It takes a lot to jump into your first lead event at a dirt track where we talked about pre-race between me and you. We're not dirt fans. We don't watch this often, and you did a marvelous job. It was top notch across the board. I have appreciated my two races back to back with Racecraft TV last night and tonight. It was an absolute pleasure to work with you and Zach Johnson on the production. Keith Bradley, hands down the story of the show. He was able to run the top. He was able to run the middle. He was able to run the bottom when he needed to. He made the pass when it counted the most, and he held on for dear life when a very fast two truck of Ted Wade was beating his back bumper off, literally beating his back bumper off and putting him in the wall, and he held on for the win. Great all-star race, and a great track to do it at Eldora.
Well, yes, the champion of the night tonight, of course, is Keith Bradley. On behalf of everybody here over at Racecraft TV, we extend our congratulations over to him and the 29 truck. We hope you'll join us again September 9th here for the NASRA Triple M Polling Truck Series. Same time, same place, Racecraft TV. And on behalf of Zachary Johnson in the production booth, Terry Radford joining me alongside here in the commentary booth, Joshua Lee, who was gracious to let me fill in for him tonight, Josh Edmondson and Trevor Teal back at Racecraft TV. My name again is Ian Fisher, and we thank you for joining us for the NASRA Triple M Polling Truck Series Eldora All-Star Race. And congratulations again to your winner, Keith Bradley.